is a deranged person who has been put in charge of my surveillance. They had taken the job because they hate people like me who fucked up everyone's lives for having to live here, and they wanted a way to mess with one of us. And this person has been torturing me with telepathy starting in April, and they've been doing it every day. Unfortunately, it gets quite a bit worse. So I guess this guy had got to me at some point. So he's quite powerful, and I don't know if he has someone hack the technology in my body that's keeping me alive, or if he has something implanted that's not supposed to be there. He can't tell me, and I have no way of knowing, obviously. I only know 2022 shit. But he was messing with my body in ways that were incredibly embarrassing and isolating. He has a thing for making the muscle valves leak in my body. And the thing he was doing back then was quite embarrassing and would have been obvious to the people around me. He said that he thought that that would get me to kill myself. And it didn't. And it's been going on for quite a while. And he was having other people fuck with me on the down low to try and push this. And I was being messed with by people already just as part of being here. And he started adding more shit. And he did it in a way that made it look like everyone was in on it. Now, apparently this guy was watching me and then started listening with telepathy for all this time. And it caused him to hate me personally, and also gave him the knowledge of how he could fuck with me and what he could get away with, because he knew what I was thinking at the time. So he was telling other people in society to fuck with me, and it just made it look like everybody was in on it. It's hard to explain, especially if you're not used to being fucked with. But before he had introduced himself this spring, I was working in sales, and he had opened the valve in my stomach to the muscle valve in my stomach to cause acid to leak up, and he said he was doing it to isolate me and keep me quiet for when he was revealing himself. And when he initially let me in on who he was fucking with my body really severely and flooding my throat with acid so that my throat was swelling closed, and it was fucking terrifying. And he was making me say weird shit to my local police and my parents, or else he would threaten to fuck me up. And I didn't know who he was or his job title at the time, so I ended up saying weird shit to all these people I'm surrounded by. And unfortunately, now that I'm telling them the truth, they have no concern whatsoever for what I'm saying, because people don't have this shit happen to him. And he is telling me that he is intending to kill me, which also doesn't happen to people anymore because the consequences are pretty obvious and never ending. And so no one's taking me seriously. The only way to really detect that this is happening is if someone would listen to me with telepathy, and apparently it's against the law because no one will do it, or they think that this is just a delusion or something. But I'm begging the cops to listen to me with telepathy, and they're not hearing it. And the fucked up part is that this guy is able to dull my ability to think. So while I was trying to get help, I couldn't. Because he was dulling my ability to think, he can basically turn it down to the point where I can't think or even recall information. I was having to write things down on a piece of paper and hand it to the cops, because if I got in front of a cop, he would shut off my ability to think, and there's nothing I could do to convey what's happened to me. So that's another reason why people are pretty unconvinced, well, the cops at least. I'm able to talk now because everyone doesn't care about what I'm saying, so it doesn't matter that I'm able to speak. Unfortunately, the way he's chosen to kill me is he has blocked the stuff from leaving my intestines. So he closed the muscle valve in my small intestines so that nothing could leave. And I filled up to the point where my parents were saying it looked like I was pregnant, like my stomach was bowled over, and I was starting to starve. So I switched to a liquid diet, and I've been living like this for 4 to 5 months now, with not eating any food whatsoever and living on a liquid diet. Now, he does have me go to the bathroom, or lets me go to the bathroom before I try to get help, because I'm telling people I can't go, and he'll just tell people I just went. So he'll just say that I'm a liar if anyone asks him. When I do go to the bathroom, there's food particles in it. There's like grape. Sorry to be graphic, but there is food particles in it, and I physically do not eat food. And I'm not going to be like eating food on camera on surveillance and then telling cops and other people that I can't eat, because he could just use that as evidence to say I'm lying. So I'm physically not eating food and going to the bathroom, and it looks really horrifying because it's been in me so long and it has food particle in it. He has all the pain and nausea blocked, as well as my ability to feel emotions dulled. And if I try and tell people, he can shut my ability to think off. So I'm fucked. The evidence that I have is that, I've taken. Well, there's more to say. I mean, if someone gains control of your body, which he keeps saying is just so rare that no one will listen to it, if you just go to the hospital, they'll save your life. So it doesn't matter what someone does to your body; they'll just save your life. But it turns out what he had done is, because he had been planning this for hundreds of years, he already kind of thought of this shit. He had hacked the computers at the hospital, which are pretty primitive and basic compared to what he's used to. And he has said that he swapped in normal blood work for my blood work. Now, these machines are just loaded with blood, and then they analyze it all on their own and then put that information in a computer that is shared with the hospital's computers. So no one physically is involved in the process. So all he does is swap in normal blood work on the computer end of it, and everyone in the hospital sees my blood work looks normal. And it sounds fucking crazy, but there's literally no other way to do it. Because if he blocks that blood work and the pain and nausea, I have no physical symptoms that things are being done to me, and I have no physical evidence, so that they will not treat me under any circumstances. It sounds crazy, but he has done this to me 6 years ago. He'd done the same shit as a test run, and my landlord had seen that I was horribly sick, and for a month or more, I was really sick, and things were not leaving my body fast enough, and everyone around me was perplexed as to why I was not being admitted to the hospital, and he said that was a test run to set a precedent that I have bowel problems, and now I think that he really wanted to torment me and fuck with me before finally killing me, because this is hundreds of years of really hating me. But yeah, I think he all along was just not ready to pull the trigger, and he really wanted to fuck me over before finally taking me out. Now, the worst part about this is he is brainwashing me with the telepathy shit. So he already knows that, I'm already doing the same shit because of what other people are doing, which was mundane and happening my whole life. But he is tormenting me into doing the same shit. So I'm asking for help on the same days because I'm being severely brainwashed and doing the same shit every single day. And he said this will make me look mentally ill and make it seem like I've just succumbed to delusion based on what's happening. So for all I know, I've posted this already and not gotten help, which is what he told me is happening. But I don't fucking know. Yeah, so, um, oh, so I've had this stuff in my intestines for a long time, and it was not poisoning me because he had the motility shut down, which means they weren't moving, which meant that there was not blood being attracted to the intestines. So that stuff could be in there for several months without poisoning me. He said that his plan was to wait for it to fester, and then he's going to trap it. He's going to block the intestines from evacuating and crank them on really hard so that everything in there would just be spread into my bloodstream. And that sounds like bullshit, but he's actually started doing it. So when that happens, when he cranks the intestines on and it starts spreading stuff throughout when it starts poisoning my blood, what happens is that my urine will develop a foul smell, which isn't intuitive. It's not something that I would have come up with. But apparently, when your blood is being poisoned, it tries to dump it out in your urine, and it has a really foul smell to it. On top of that, he's also been sleep depriving me massively. So I have evidence that of massive sleep deprivation right here. So just recently on the 18th, I was forced awake until 9 a.m. until 11. So what he's doing is releasing some kind of drug in my body, and it is causing me to have too much energy to where I can't sleep. And if I think about talking about getting help, or if I think about trying to go to the police station, it goes from like 3 hours down to 1 hour. So he tries to make me massively tired looking, and he'll just shut down my ability to think if I get in front of a cop. So the bags under my eyes is the cover. But how you know that this is someone doing this artificially is I've documented massive sleep deprivation. I have bags under my eyes, and I have perfect energy all the time. So the problem of tiredness has already been solved with this technology, and I don't have access to it myself. He's using it to run my immune system down, and then if I get in front of someone looking sleepy, he'll just shut my thinking down. So this is how you guys' technology is being used to fuck someone over. I don't know if I've talked about the problems with telepathy, but if I try and think about how he might fuck me over, I'm instantly putting ideas in his head that he might not even have considered yet. So I'm giving him a list of ideas or ways to fuck me over just by contemplating how he might be doing something. If I think about going to the cops and I'm strategizing what I'm going to say to them, he's looking for gaps in my argument or gaps in what I'm saying, and he is, able to convey that to the cops perfectly. Or more importantly, he's hearing what I'm going to say to the cops, and he's able to strategize in real time how he's going to counter what I can say. And it's a problem because if your enemy knows what you're going to say before you say it, and they're on the same team as the cops you're trying to talk to, and you're trying to talk to the cops with your ability to think dulled, and they won't even have a conversation about telepathy or any of this shit. It's a major reason why he was willing to do it in the first place, and it's really fucking me over. And if he brainwashes me into doing the same shit, he already knows what's coming the second time, and I don't have any way to break out of it. And the more he torments me, the more difficult it is for me to see how this will sound to other people, because all I've known my whole life is people like fucking with me behind closed doors and then having weird problems in my body that I couldn't explain. Something really fucked up that he has told me, which I believe is true, is that he said that once he had gained control over my body, that he was pulling back my consciousness slightly. So it's in a way where if someone pulls back your consciousness just a little bit, you can't tell that it's happening because by definition you're going to be a little bit less aware of what is happening. And he said that that's how he fucked me over and got me doing the same shit over and over again without the ability to break out, and that had been happening for hundreds of years. So that's kind of why, you know, I've not been able to break out and do something different, is because he was telling it. And he said something else, which is that I was getting charged with despicable crimes that I don't feel I did. And he said that, because I'd been isolated and, well, I'll just put it like this. He said that I was getting charged with despicable crimes that you would never get charged with a second time if you had experienced what was going on. So he said that I went through the court system and the prison sentence while unconscious, and I looked, it's like a roofie or something like that is the only way to describe it, where I was not physically experiencing what was happening. Other people saw someone who looked like they were normal. And he said that this has happened multiple times, where I had been arrested for the same crime, and I'm not aware of that ever happening. And they were embarrassing crimes that you would never do a second time. I had glimpses of, I think, him letting me be conscious for just a brief moment, and I was like getting beat up. And in other times, I was in solitary confinement, and it feels like I'd been there for a considerable amount of time and wasn't doing so well. And he said that this has happened a lot, and I just was getting glimpses of weird shit. I'm already in a prison-like environment from my perspective, so I didn't know what the hell's going on. And I told you that I was getting tormented at work. I believe that there's a person, Kaylee McPherson, who worked at the Argo call center, and her uncle, who were fucking with me while I was unconscious. And I'm certain that these people know who this guy is, and they have to know he has control over my body, because I believe I regained consciousness, and this guy was looking at me and like smirking, like he knew what the fuck was going on, and that's kind of burned into my memory. But I wasn't really cued into the fact that my consciousness was being fucked with until he started talking to me with telepathy. He said that these people are going to cover their ass anyways because they weren't supposed to be fucking with me at work in general. So I don't have any recourse there, but I don't know what else to say. This guy has planned this for a long time. He's a psychopath, and if I convey what a psychopath is doing, I sound like I'm crazy and talking shit, and he gets to just keep fucking with me. And my emotions are turned way down. I want to kill this guy. He is actually fucking with me with telepathy every single day and doing weird shit to my body. And there's not a damn thing I can do if no one believes me, and if no one listens to me with telepathy, he is just going to get away with it. And when I die, he says it's going to look like a medical problem, and people will just think I was nuts. And because I wasn't in communication with people my whole life, because this guy was fucking with me so that I would smell and it would isolate me, that I'm a prime target now. And I don't know. Someone could help me. I mean, his whole thing is having me tell people I'm in danger and that I'm going to die and then I live. So that's why people are way more unconvinced than I would like. But I just need someone to listen to me with telepathy, and they'll hear this asshole, and it will vindicate what I'm saying. And I wouldn't bother to ask people to do it if what I'm saying isn't true. Just someone can help me.